Next. This is our outline. First, we will introduce the importance of ethics. Then, we will tell you the 5 guidelines of ethical speaking. And third, we will tell you about plagiarism. And then, we will tell you how to be a good listener. And let's welcome our next presenter, Eric.
Hello everyone, I'm Eric, and I want to introduce the importance of ethics. Okay, this is my basically 4 points. First one is a definition of ethics, and then why is ethics important? And I will give you some simple question, and then we'll discuss about the ethics decision. Definition of ethics. Ethics is a branch of study that dealing with proper course of action. Dealing with the course of action that for men. Sorry. And question of ethics is I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. Action for men, and question of ethics arises whenever we ask, and whether a course of action is moral or immoral, fair or unfair, honest or dishonest. And it's all based on, it's no right and wrong in this, when we face this ethical questions. It's all decided by our personal values. So, okay, and in our daily life we face such many ethical questions. Like, for example, the parents must to deal with the child who was being sent from school for unruly behavior, or one day you just found out that they have some extra money mistakenly given by the clerk at 7-Eleven, and you have to decide whether you want to going to return the money back, or you just keep it as your own money. And whatever decision you make, no one will judge you because there's no right and wrong. Next. Okay, why is ethics important? Ethics is a requirement for human life. It is our means of deciding a course of action, because ethics is a standard of judging between right and wrong, and without it, our actions will be random and endless, and we don't know what to do with when we face that kind of ethical questions. Okay, here's some example questions. Is this okay to report classmates cheating on exams? You can think about it. Yeah, and let me change the way the question is. Is this acceptable for you to report your classmate or one of your friends are cheating on exam? Is this acceptable for you to report to the professor, or you call them cheating? Anyone? Okay. Sorry. Okay, maybe part of you will think that I don't want to get into trouble, so I just let it go, and I don't want to get involved in it. And maybe part of you will think that they deserve being called out because they are cheating. Cheating is the unruly behavior. So you have to call them out because of that kind of behavior. But there always, when we face this kind of ethical questions, there always have a dilemma inherent in the questions. As we express our answers quickly before our thought, it is impossible for us to recognize it is impossible for us to see the issues has more than one side. And for me, to some people, the answer is yes, report always, but for me, it's not. It's not so important because our job, we are students, our job is to do the exam and not to report the cheats. So, based on these questions, based on this question, there are many different kinds of decisions and answers will come out, and there is no right and wrong, because every answers and decision you make have their own opinion and definitions. Okay, let's discuss about ethical decisions. Ethical decision is just like the question I mentioned before. Report cheats is a good thing to do, but it's not always easy. It's not always easy. It's not always easy. Often, conforming a high standard of conduct is not about right and wrong decisions, but choosing the lesser of evils. We choose the harmless one. Yeah, and some decisions will require that you prioritize and choose between competing ethical values and principles. And ethical decisions will be guided by your personal values, conscience, and sense of behavior. And it also give you a framework to make you and strategy before you making the decisions. Okay, that's the end of my part, and let's welcome to the next presenter.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Janice. Now, my part is to introduce guidelines for ethical speaking to you. And before everything starts, I want to share a short story with you guys. There was a girl named Melissa, and she got a job in public relations department in American Tobacco Institute. But she declined the job offer. The reason is she knows that cigarettes is in charge and maybe the #1 reason that causes illness and death. So she don't want to having such bad feeling of doing such jobs. She declined. And the point of the story is not to discuss whether Melissa's decision is right or wrong. It's illustrating that moral issues and ethical issues really mentioned, and it's a big role in speaking and speeches. So, as a speaker, we have to make sure that our goals are ethically sound. And how to prepare for a good speech. As James Lloyd Jones says, well, a speech is a solemn responsibility. And we all have responsibility, and no matter it's for the speaker or the listener, because they're all playing the role, and they're all really important. So, the better you prepare, the better speech you will be. But how to prepare for a good speech? There are 4 parts listed on the PPT slides. First, it could be creating visual aids and organize your ideas, rehearse your delivery, and be fully informed about your subject. Speeches could also be influential, like You can explore your speech topic and investigate the whole story, seek out competing viewpoints, and get the fact right. As long as we can achieve the 4 goals listed, our speech will be good, and also achieve the standard of ethical speech. Most important of all, we have to be honest in what we say. There's a saying that words can be trusted and people will be truthful, and that was what we were taught since we were little. But the speaker really have to always be honest about what they're talking to the listener or to the audience. Apparently or not. Why? Let's see. Well, these are the dishonesty in public speaking. They are juggling statistics, quoting out of context, mispresenting the sources of facts and figures. Also, they are painting tentative findings as per conclusions, portraying a few details as the whole story, and citing unusual cases as typical examples. The last one could be substitute innuendo and half-truths with evidence. The last is we have to really be careful about what we are talking and saying to people. We have to avoid the 3 things listed above, like name calling, abuse of language, and biased language, because they all raise ethical problems, and that's really important. Let's see. First, I'm going to tell you more about name calling. The definition is name calling is the use of language to defame, demean, or degrade individuals or groups. And when using this, it could be like epithets like fat, kike, nigger, wall, and jab. And these are all related to sexual orientation, religious belief, or ethnic background. When using this epithet that you see in the first blank, it could be seeing these groups that they are inferior and not deserved to be respected. And these are the things that we are not glad to see. And we're not, if we are the people, we don't want to be treated like this. Biased language is not simply a matter of political correctness. It also may be related to devaluing people, and it could be a destructive social force. Because if we use it too much, like forwards and systematically, that it's not good. And if you are the people, you won't want to be treated like this. Yeah. So after learning so much about the ethical problems and the issues that we may touch, it's really important to put all these ethical principles into action. So, as a speaker, or everyone that's standing on stage, you might think whether your subject, material, or the jokes that you're telling others are interested or are they appropriate. But as long as you're thinking about this, you are trying to make your speech or story, even drama, more attractive and maybe more useful to the speakers. And that's my presentation for today. Let's welcome the next presenter.
Hello everyone, my name is Amy, and I'm in charge of introducing plagiarism. First, I divided plagiarism into 3 parts. The first one is definition, the second one is a story, and the last one is 3 types of plagiarism. To plagiarize means you steal another person's idea or language as your own. We often think of plagiarism as an ethical issue in a classroom. However, it may have repercussions in other situations. Let me tell you a story. She is Joanne Calabro, a superintendent in the northern New Jersey. In May 2007, she spoke at a ceremony for students for being inducted into the National Honor Society. It was a brief speech, only for 6 minutes. However, one of the students found that Joanne Calabro found that some of passages and checked them online. The student found that Joanne Calabro plagiarized the entire speech on the website, which was protected by copyright law. When confronted with the facts, Joanne Calabro at first insisted that she had done nothing illegal. But what she could not escape were the ethical consequences. Facing the severe criticism from the school district and from the press, she had no choice but to resign the position as a superintendent. As the story shows, plagiarism is really a serious matter. Now let me introduce 3 types of plagiarism. The first one is global plagiarism. The second one is patchwork plagiarism. And the last one is incremental plagiarism. If you plagiarize from only one person or only sources on the website, that's called global plagiarism. However, if you plagiarize from a couple of people or sources from 2, 3, or even more websites, that's called patchwork plagiarism. Just like how you do patchwork, you put a couple of small things together into make one big thing. How about incremental plagiarism? If you write a speech and quote from a famous speaker, but you fail to cite the sources or the famous speaker's name, that's called incremental plagiarism. Now let's welcome the next presenter.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I'm going to talk about guidelines for ethical listening. And a good speech is composed of both a good listener and both a good speaker and good listeners. So far, we have learned how to be a good speaker, but how about being a good listener? So I'm going to talk about how to be a good listener. And there are three important steps to become a good listener. First one is be courteous and attentive. Imagine you have a presentation today and you have well prepared for it for a long time. But when you are presenting, you find that your audience are not paying attention to what you are talking about. How will you feel? We have to pay attention to what the speaker wants to say, want to talk about, and just be courteous and attentive, or he or she will be easily influenced by the audience reflection or any other things. Yes, and second one is never prejudge the speaker. As a proverb says, we cannot judge a book by its cover, so we cannot also prejudge the speaker before he or she gives the speech, due to his or her appearance, their race, and even the topic of the speech. Yes. And the last one is keep an open mind to all ideas. During the speech, you may disagree, or you may have different ideas to what the speaker wants to express or wants to convey, but you have to keep this in mind. You can disagree with the speaker, but you have to respect respect him or her, because this is his or her right. And let's welcome the last presenter.
Hello, I'm Amber. I'm responsible for the review part. And after our presentation, we know the public speaking have influential power, so we have to be careful the ethic problems. I want to ask you, do you still remember the 5 principles of the ethical speaking we just mentioned? Okay, it's okay. Let me give you a quick review. First, you have to make sure your goals are ethically sound. That is, the message you're trying to convey should live up to the social values. And the second, you have to be careful. You have to make sure you are well prepared. Don't waste time. Don't waste time saying something disorganized. And the third, you have to be honest in what you say. Don't try to say something that is fake because the audience are not here for your fiction stories. And the fourth, you have to avoid name calling and other forms of abusive language. You should show your respectation to any other individuals or groups. And the last one is put ethical principle into practice. As the saying goes, action saying louder than words. Besides, internet are very convenient nowadays, so we can easily get a lot of information on the internet. But you have to be careful, never commit plagiarism. And And last but not the least, you have to learn how to be a good listener. And enjoy your day, and hope our presentation is helpful for you. Thank you.
Okay.